All right, let's dive in. Today, it's all about power dynamics and strategic thinking.
Ooh, sounds intense.
It is a little bit. We've got some fascinating sources to unpack.
Like what?
Well, we've got excerpts from Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power.
A classic.
Exactly. It's all about deception, strategy.
And self-preservation, right?
You got it. How to win the game, so to speak.
But isn't it more than just manipulation?
You're right. It's about understanding those unwritten rules of the game.
The psychology of power.
Exactly. Greene dives deep, drawing on history, philosophy.
Even military strategy.
It makes you think, how can we use this in our own lives? Can these laws help us get ahead?
In our careers, relationships, everything.
Yeah. So, to kick things off, let's talk about Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Greene tells this amazing story about Count Victor Lustig, a con man.
Oh, I know this one. He conned Al Capone, right?
Yep. Capone was notoriously suspicious of everyone.
Had to be, in his line of work.
So Lustig played on that mistrust.
How so?
He got Capone to invest in the scheme, then returned the money, claimed it failed.
Whoa, really?
Capone was so thrown off by that honesty.
You thought he was about to be conned.
Exactly. He ended up giving Lustig a reward.
For being straight with him.
It's wild. Lustig flipped the script.
So he used honesty as a distraction.
A distraction from a bigger deception.
It's brilliant and kind of scary.
Makes you think, how often do we assume ulterior motives?
Right. Are we missing opportunities to build trust?
Or could we be too trusting, like Capone?
Ooh, good point. It's a delicate balance.
Okay, let's move to Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest.
Self-interest, huh?
It's about how we frame our requests.
Give me an example.
Okay, so Greene uses this example of the Athenians, right?
Okay.
They chose to ally with a city-state.
Based on.
Not loyalty, but strategic interests.
It sounds, well, a bit cynical.
It does, but think about it. Are our decisions truly altruistic?
I see your point.
Greene says acknowledging self-interest makes you a better persuader.
Interesting.
He also tells the story about Yulu Tukai, who convinced Genghis Khan to spare China,
Vi.
appealing to Khan's greed, not his mercy.
Whoa, hold on.
He showed Khan how he'd profit more from taxing the Chinese than destroying them.
So sometimes self-interest trumps morality.
That's what Greene suggests, but of course, that raises ethical questions.
Yeah, how far do we go to achieve our goals?
Big question, right?
Okay.
Shifting gears a bit, Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy.
Okay, that sounds a little, sneaky.
It does, but the story Greene uses is amazing. It's about this art dealer, Joseph Duveen.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
He wanted Andrew Mellon, this wealthy art collector, as a client.
So what did he do?
He infiltrated Mellon's life, learned everything about him.
His tastes, habits, everything.
Yep. Then he orchestrated this chance encounter with Mellon.
Oh, wow.
Dazzled him with his knowledge, pretended to share all his preferences.
So it was all an illusion of friendship.
To gain an advantage in the art world makes you think, is it wrong to gather information about people?
Or is it just smart? Especially in a competitive environment.
Right. It all comes down to your intentions, doesn't it?
Information can be used for good or evil.
The question is, where do we draw the line?
Yeah.
Okay, this next one's intense. Law 15. Crush your enemy. Totally.
Okay, bracing myself.
Greene uses this story about two rival warlords in ancient China.
Go on.
One kept showing mercy to his opponent. He ended up betrayed and defeated.
So it's a lesson in ruthlessness.
It highlights a truth about power dynamics, you know.
Leaving your enemies with any hope can backfire.
They can regroup, come back to challenge you.
So it's about being, well, ruthless.
Is that even realistic in our world today? Most of us aren't facing warlords.
True, but it's not about taking it literally.
It's about recognizing potential conflicts.
If you've been wronged, don't assume forgiving guarantees peace.
Sometimes you have to protect yourself.
Ensure you're not vulnerable.
Makes you think about how we handle conflicts in our lives.
Right. Are we too quick to forgive?
Or do we hold grudges for too long?
It's all about balance.
Okay, deep breaths. This next law is a bit of a head scratcher. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor.
Absence.
Greene tells the story of Deioces, who became king by making himself scarce.
It doesn't seem like it'd work.
Seems counterintuitive, right? You'd think visibility is key to power.
I would think so.
But Deioces understood constant exposure can diminish respect. By withdrawing, he created mystery, longing.
He became more desirable because he was less available.
Exactly. Familiarity breeds contempt.
It ties into scarcity.
Yeah.
The less there is of something.
The more valuable it becomes.
And that applies to time, attention, even affection.
It's about knowing when to withdraw strategically.
Like a leader who's always available becomes overexposed.
Their decisions lose impact.
By stepping back, they enhance their authority.
That's a brilliant insight. Sometimes less is more.
Especially with power.
Okay, this next law, Law 17, reminds me of Bobby Fischer, the chess prodigy.
What's law?
Keep others in suspense. Cultivate an air of unpredictability.
Oh, yeah, Fisher. He was known for being unpredictable.
Greene uses him as an example, describing his erratic behavior during his matches.
He kept everyone guessing, kept his opponents off balance.
It was like psychological warfare on the chessboard.
And think about how that applies beyond chess.
Right. We try to categorize people, predict their behavior.
By being unpredictable, we're harder to control.
We stay in control.
Exactly.
So it's not about being random, it's about strategic unpredictability.
It's a power move.
Okay, this next one feels a bit personal. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous.
Why personal?
Well, Greene talks about Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China.
What did he do?
He built this massive palace to isolate himself, paranoid about threats to his power.
So he created his own prison.
A gilded cage. He felt safe, but lost touch with what was happening outside.
Isolation breeds ignorance.
And in the game of power, you need to stay connected.
Even with those you might not trust.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Right.
You need a network to see the bigger picture.
Anticipate threats.
Building a fortress just creates the illusion of safety.
So how do we balance protecting ourselves and staying connected?
Good question. It's about being discerning, knowing who to trust.
And being aware of the risks.
And isolating yourself is rarely the answer.
Okay, food for thought. Let's move to Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person.
Sounds straightforward.
It is, but Greene uses a cautionary tale.
About?
Muhammad, the Shah of Khwarezm, who underestimated Genghis Khan.
Didn't end well, I'm guessing.
He dismissed Khan, and his empire was destroyed.
Pride before the fall.
But how can we accurately assess people in our daily lives? We're not facing Mongol hordes.
True, but think of it this way. Every interaction is a power negotiation.
Even small things.
Even deciding who gets the last slice of pizza.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
It's about being aware of the power dynamics, even in small interactions.
So reading people, understanding their motivations.
Exactly. Look for clues, their insecurities, ambitions, vulnerabilities.
Well, like becoming a detective of human nature.
You got it.
Okay, I'm ready to sharpen my observation skills. Let's talk about Law 20. Do not commit to anyone.
Intrigued.
It features Queen Elizabeth I. She was a master of power.
How so?
She navigated marriage proposals, alliances, without committing.
She kept her options open.
Exactly. She retained her freedom, her ability to maneuver.
She was never anyone's pawn.
Think about how this applies to us.
Like when we feel pressured to take sides.
Or make commitments that limit our options.
This law says staying neutral can be powerful.
He who hesitates is lost, but in reverse. Sometimes hesitating gives you the upper hand.
It's strategic detachment.
Not being drawn into conflicts that don't serve you.
I like that.
Okay, this next law seems a little odd. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark.
Seem dumber. Why would you do that?
It plays on our vanity. We love feeling smarter than others.
I see. It makes us vulnerable.
Greene tells a story about con men who pulled off a diamond mine hoax.
Bah.
Pretending to be naive prospectors, they played dumb.
And the sophisticated financiers fell for it?
They used their perceived weakness as a weapon.
Lulling their victims into a false sense of security.
It's a reminder that sometimes appearing less capable can be an advantage.
It lets you gather information, assess, and strike at the right time.
Like the silent dog is the one that bites.
Never underestimate the power of playing the fool.
This is making me rethink everything. Okay, next up, Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power.
Surrender as a power move. How does that work?
It's not about giving up, but strategic retreat.
Okay.
Greene uses the example of Bertolt Brecht, the playwright.
What happened?
He was called before the House Un-American Activities Committee. Instead of confronting them, he appeared cooperative, even submissive.
Interesting strategy.
He used wordplay and humor to deflect their questions.
undermining their authority without directly challenging it.
Exactly. He disarmed them by seeming to surrender.
But he never gave up his principles.
He used his apparent weakness to buy time, outmaneuvering his opponents.
So it's about choosing your battles.
Knowing when to fight and when to retreat.
Surrender can disarm your opponent.
They become less suspicious of your intentions.
He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day.
Sometimes retreating is the most strategic move.
It allows you to regroup, come back stronger.
Okay, these laws are all interconnected.
Pieces of a puzzle forming a strategy for power.
Let's move on to Law 23. Concentrate your forces.
Okay, tell me more.
Greene tells the story of the king of Wu who spread his army too thin.
Yeah.
He tried to conquer too much, and it led to his downfall.
A classic case of overreach.
He failed to focus his energy, and his enemies exploited his weakness.
It's a reminder that we can't do everything at once.
We need to prioritize.
This law is about strategic allocation of resources.
Time, money, energy, even attention.
Saying no to distractions.
Focusing on what matters.
Channeling our energy towards our goals.
Okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, but also energized.
Me too.
It's like Greene's giving us a playbook for success.
A secret playbook.
For our next deep dive, we're entering the world of courtly intrigue with Law 24. Play the perfect courtier.
Ooh, that sounds juicy.
Yeah, get ready for some serious power plays.
I can't wait.
Welcome back. We're digging deeper into Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power.
Really getting into the nitty-gritty of building and maintaining power.
Last time we talked about honesty, strategic withdrawal.
Now it's time for the next level.
Law 27. Play on people's need to believe. Create a cult-like following.
Cult-like. Sounds a little extreme.
Greene uses examples from religious leaders to con artists.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's about that human need to believe in something bigger than ourselves.
A sense of belonging, purpose.
Exactly. Skilled leaders tap into that.
They create a community, a sense of being part of something special.
Like a narrative people want to buy into.
Think about successful brands, political movements, even self-help gurus.
They create that feeling of exclusivity, like you're in the inner circle.
Selling a lifestyle, not just a product.
It's powerful stuff, but there's a dark side, too.
Oh, absolutely. It can be used to exploit people.
That's why critical thinking is so important.
Don't just blindly follow anyone.
Right. Question everything. Okay, Law 28. Interaction with boldness.
Boldness, huh?
Greene's all about taking risks, projecting confidence.
But there's a line between boldness and recklessness.
For sure. It's about calculated risk-taking, having a vision.
And being willing to make bold moves.
What might that look like in the real world?
Imagine a startup founder pitching a crazy idea.
Their passion can be contagious.
Inspiring investors to take a chance.
Or a political leader making a tough decision.
Even if it's unpopular, that decisiveness projects strength.
It's about the perception of boldness.
Creating momentum, inspiring confidence.
Shaping events to your advantage.
Exactly.
Okay, Law 29. Plan all the way to the end.
Planning is key.
Greene emphasizes thinking ahead, anticipating obstacles.
Like playing chess, you have to consider your opponent's moves.
Fail to plan to fail. Right.
You have to be able to adapt your strategy.
But doesn't too much planning make you inflexible?
It's about having a plan, but also being adaptable.
Adjusting as needed while keeping your goal in mind.
Like having a roadmap, but being open to detours.
Okay, Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless.
This sounds like a performance.
In a way, it is. Greene says people are impressed by those who make success look easy.
Like athletes, musicians, artists.
They make it look effortless, but it takes years of practice.
It's about projecting an image of mastery.
Like success comes naturally.
Exactly.
But isn't that deceptive?
Not if it's genuine. It's about presenting yourself in the best light.
Highlighting strengths, downplaying weaknesses.
So it's not about faking it. It's about believing in yourself.
Projecting confidence.
Exactly.
Okay, Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal.
Like a magician forcing a card.
Perfect analogy. It's about framing choices.
Steering people towards the outcome you want.
Creating the illusion of choice.
I've seen this in negotiations.
You're given a choice, but really you're being nudged.
Retailers do this all the time.
Limited time offer, special bundle.
It's about being aware of these tactics.
And maybe using them to our advantage.
Knowledge is power.
Law 32. Play to people's fantasies.
This one sounds more fun.
It's about appealing to desires.
Wealth, status, adventure, romance, belonging.
Like those old Hollywood movies, all glamour and excitement.
Creating a world people want to escape into.
Offering a glimpse of something they desire. So, do we become fantasy weavers?
It's about understanding storytelling,
Creating compelling narratives.
appealing to emotions.
So, crafting a persona, a brand, that embodies what people want.
It's about playing to those fantasies, but authentically.
Giving them something real to connect with.
Exactly.
Makes you think about how we present ourselves online.
Are we curating our lives, creating an idealized version?
It's interesting how these laws apply to today's world.
They're timeless.
Okay, Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew.
This sounds a bit darker.
It's about finding people's weaknesses,
Their vulnerabilities?
their fears, insecurities, desires, even bad habits.
Once you know their weaknesses, you can use that knowledge.
That ends up manipulative.
It can be, but it doesn't have to be malicious.
How so?
Think about therapists. They help people understand their motivations.
So using this knowledge ethically.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a relief. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one.
This one's about confidence.
Projecting authority.
Think about someone like Margaret Thatcher.
She cultivated power through self-belief, decisiveness.
She refused to be intimidated,
It's not about pretending, it's about embracing your own power.
setting high standards, acting accordingly.
Like dress for the job you want, but for behavior.
Your self-perception influences how others see you.
Act like a leader, be treated like one.
Precisely.
Okay, Law 35. Master the art of timing.
Crucial in today's world.
Greene says there's a right time for everything.
Knowing when to act, when to wait.
Recognizing those opportune moments.
Like a military strategist waiting for the right time to attack.
Or a politician building alliances before making a move.
Timing is everything.
It's about being patient, observant, seizing the moment.
And knowing when to step back.
Okay, Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge.
This sounds counterintuitive.
We naturally want what we can't have.
But Greene says fixating on it makes you look weak.
Appearing indifferent can be powerful.
Maintaining your dignity.
Think about Nelson Mandela. He never let his captors break him.
He emerged from prison with grace and dignity.
The best revenge is living well.
It's about rising above, focusing on your own growth.
Empowering. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles.
Now, this sounds fun.
Greene says people love grand gestures, dramatic displays.
He uses the example of Louis XIV, the Sun King.
He used ceremonies and extravagance to reinforce his authority.
It's like he was a master of stagecraft.
But this applies beyond monarchy.
Brands use spectacle to launch products.
Politicians use rallies.
Artists use performance.
It's about visual communication, engaging the senses.
Creating memorable experiences.
Okay, Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others.
That seems contradictory.
Greene says it's important to have your own beliefs.
But you also need to conform to avoid unwanted attention.
Picking your battles.
Like Leonardo da Vinci.
He was a genius, but conformed to social norms.
He knew challenging them could be dangerous.
So being strategic in our self-expression,
Understanding the context.
adapting our behavior while staying true to ourselves.
Exactly.
Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish.
This sounds a bit mischievous.
Greene says creating chaos can be manipulative.
When people are confused, they make mistakes.
They become vulnerable.
Like a magician using misdirection.
It's psychological warfare.
It can be, but it can also be used for good.
How so?
Sometimes chaos can shake things up.
Break the status quo, create opportunities. Okay, Law 40. Despise the free lunch.
Self-reliance.
Greene says anything that comes too easily isn't worth having.
True power comes from effort.
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Relying on others weakens you.
Embracing challenges builds resilience.
It's about earning your own way.
Taking ownership of your success.
Recognizing that true value comes from what you create.
Greene's a big believer in self-made success.
Absolutely.
Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes.
This is for anyone following a successful figure.
Greene says trying to emulate them is a recipe for disaster.
You'll be compared and found wanting.
Like actors trying to play James Bond after Sean Connery.
It's impossible to live up to the original.
It's about finding your own path.
Creating your own legacy.
And not trying to replicate someone else.
Find your own voice. Break with tradition.
Law 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter.
This one sounds a bit brutal.
Greene says there are key individuals in any group.
Their influence holds it together.
By targeting them, you can dismantle the structure.
Identifying the linchpins.
Like a military campaign taking out the enemy commander.
Or discrediting the leader of a political movement.
It's about strategic attacks.
Understanding how power flows.
This is getting intense.
But it's fascinating how these laws apply to different situations.
Okay, Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others.
This sounds more positive.
Greene says true power comes from winning people over.
Inspiring loyalty, not forcing submission.
Persuasion, not coercion.
Like Martin Luther King Jr. or Gandhi.
They inspired through their commitment, compassion, and vision.
True leadership is about inspiring, not controlling.
Connecting with people emotionally.
Appealing to their values.
Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect.
Psychological judo.
Using your opponent's tactics against them.
Reflecting their behavior to expose their hypocrisy.
Like holding up a mirror.
Think about Socrates.
He used this to make people confront their own beliefs.
Turning the tables, using their momentum against them.
Brilliant. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once.
Pacing yourself.
Change is necessary, but too much too fast creates resistance.
People resist change, especially sudden change.
It's about being gradual, incremental.
Like Franklin D. Roosevelt during the Great Depression.
He knew radical changes would backfire.
It's about building consensus, bringing people along.
Being patient and strategic.
Exactly.
Law 46, never appear too perfect.
But don't we want to project success?
We do, but Greene says flawlessness can be intimidating.
People are drawn to those who seem human.
So being vulnerable, admitting mistakes.
Being authentic.
It's not about seeking forgiveness, but about connection.
People trust those who are genuine.
Maybe I need to embrace my flaws more. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop.
Knowing when to quit while you're ahead.
Greene says success can be intoxicating.
Pushing too far can lead to downfall.
Don't push your luck.
Think about commanders who overextend after a victory.
We need to know when to declare victory.
Consolidate our gains.
Sometimes the smartest move is to walk away.
Having the wisdom to know when you've achieved enough.
This is a valuable lesson in today's world,
where we're constantly told to strive for more.
It's about recognizing our limits.
Sometimes the greatest victory is knowing when to stop.
We've covered so much.
From cult followings to walking away.
And we've only scratched the surface. Greene's book is packed with insights.
It's a framework for understanding power.
We've been on this deep dive into power, exploring all these strategies.
It's fascinating, but we need to talk about the flip side.
You're right, the potential downsides.
Power could be a slippery slope.
The dark side, the pitfalls of using these tactics.
Exactly. Greene acknowledges that the pursuit of power can corrupt.
It can lead to all sorts of negative things, paranoia.
Isolation, even cruelty.
Like a double-edged sword, it can be used for good or evil.
The more power we gain, the more vigilant we have to be.
About its influence on us.
Don't let it go to your head.
He warns against power becoming the ultimate goal.
What's the point of winning if you lose yourself?
It's not about the destination, but the journey.
Exactly. Power should be a means to an end, not the end itself.
It's like that saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
There's truth to that, but Greene offers a nuanced perspective.
Power isn't inherently good or bad.
It's how we use it.
And how we let it affect us.
That's what truly matters.
So how do we use this knowledge wisely?
How do we avoid the traps?
It's a big question. Any advice?
Self-awareness is key.
Understanding our motivations, our values.
Our weaknesses, and using the laws strategically, ethically.
With caution.
It's not just about knowing the rules.
It's not about knowing yourself.
Your limits, playing the game with integrity.
It's been an eye-opening deep dive.
I agree, so many insights.
It's like we have a new lens to view the world.
That's what I hoped for.
Before we wrap up, any final advice for our listeners?
Embrace observation. Pay attention to the world around you.
Watch how people interact. Notice those power dynamics.
The more aware you are, the better you'll navigate them.
Become a student of human nature.
Yes.
Use that knowledge to understand, to connect authentically.
To create win-win situations.
That's the goal. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
To our listeners, keep exploring these ideas. Reflect on how they operate in your own lives.
Use this knowledge wisely and ethically.
With that healthy dose of self-awareness.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.